When I was young, I thought wisdom was something reserved for the gray-haired and slow-moving, a distant prize waiting at the end of a long road. Now, after many decades, I see that wisdom was always present, scattered like small pebbles along the path, and that I simply walked past most of it. Today, I want to share the lessons that older friends, mentors, and my own years have revealed. Truths I wish someone had whispered into my ear when I was 20, 30, even 40. These are not rules carved in stone, but gentle lanterns for anyone who seeks a life of depth and meaning. The first lantern is time. In our youth, we believe time is endless. We trade our days like loose coins. Sure, there will always be more, but time is the most irreplaceable currency we possess. Every season passes whether or not we pay attention. Ask anyone in their 70s or 80s what they wish they had more of, and the answer is almost never money. It is time. I wish I had known earlier how precious an unhurried afternoon can be, how a single hour spent in real conversation with someone you love will echo longer than years of frantic work. Guard your time the way you guard your health or your bank account. It is the one resource you can never replenish. The second lantern is relationships. Success and possessions fade, but the bonds you nurture remain. When I speak with friends in their 80s and 90s, they rarely mention career achievements. They speak of the people who held their hands through storms, the laughter that lifted ordinary days, the family meals that stitched their hearts together. If I could go back, I would call more often, forgive more quickly, and show up even when it was inconvenient. We often believe that loved ones will always be there, yet life proves otherwise. Cherish people while you can, and never wait for a perfect time to say I love you. Another truth: comparison is a thief. In middle age, many of us measure ourselves against neighbors and colleagues. Who bought the bigger house? Who climbed higher on the career ladder? Who travels to more exotic places? Decades later, I see how meaningless those contests were. Everyone is playing a different game, with different starting lines and hidden struggles. The only real measure is whether you are growing into the fullest version of yourself. If I had known this earlier, I would have wasted far fewer nights worrying that I was behind. Health, of course, is a lesson we often learn too late. Bodies are resilient, yet they remember every choice. I wish I had treated sleep as sacred, embraced movement as joy rather than punishment, and chosen food that nourished instead of merely entertained. Caring for your health is not vanity. It is a profound respect for the life you've been given, and it is never too early to start. The habits you build in your 20s and 30s become the scaffolding of your later years. I also wish I had understood the power of presence. We spend so much of life planning, regretting, or scrolling through someone else's highlight reel that we forget to inhabit the moment we are actually living. The scent of morning coffee, the sound of rain on the roof, the smile of a friend across the table, these are small miracles that too often slip by unnoticed. Presence is not a mystical state. It is the simple discipline of paying attention. The elders I know who glow with contentment are those who learned, sometimes through loss, to savor the ordinary. Failure deserves a lantern of its own. In youth we fear failure as if it defines us. But every elder I've spoken with agrees. Failure is the greatest teacher. Jobs lost, businesses closed, relationships ended. All of these, painful as they were, became turning points that shaped their character. I wish I had welcomed failure earlier, not as an ending, but as an invitation to grow. Kindness, too, reveals its quiet power over the decades. The world rewards ambition, but it remembers kindness. A gentle word, a patient ear, a small act of generosity. These linger long after accolades fade. Looking back, I cannot recall the details of many professional triumphs, but I can still see the faces of people whose days brightened because someone, sometimes me, chose kindness. Perhaps the most surprising lesson is that joy and sorrow are not opposites. They often walk hand in hand. The very love that fills us with delight will one day break our hearts through loss, yet life would be emptier without it. Older voices remind me that embracing the full spectrum of emotion is what makes us truly alive. To numb pain is to numb joy. Finally, I wish I had understood earlier that life is not a straight path but a series of chapters, each with its own rhythm and rewards. Careers change, friendships shift, passions fade and rekindle. The story is richer for its twists. If you find yourself in a season that feels uncertain or unfinished, trust that a new chapter waits beyond the page. These are only the first reflections. the opening doors to a larger house of wisdom. In the chapters to come, I will share deeper insights from conversations with elders who have walked through wars and revolutions, loved and lost, started over after 70, and discovered meaning in places they never expected. Their voices and the echoes of my own experiences are gifts meant to guide anyone willing to listen. As I moved from youth into middle age, I began to understand that identity is not a fixed object you discover once and hold forever. It is a living story, rewritten each season. Many of the elders I've spoken with echo this truth. One woman, now 91, told me that the person she is today would be unrecognizable to the girl she was at 20, and that this is exactly as it should be. She has been a daughter, a teacher, a mother, a widow, a painter, a traveler, a gardener, and now a great-grandmother. Each role added new colors to her life, none canceling the others. We often pressure ourselves to find ourselves early, as though there were only one final version to uncover. But wisdom shows that we are meant to keep becoming. Allow yourself to evolve. Part of that evolution is learning to forgive. Others, yes, but also yourself. I spent too many years replaying mistakes like an endless film reel. I wish I had known sooner that regret is a heavy stone, and carrying it serves no one. Forgiveness is not forgetting or excusing harm. It is choosing to stop drinking the poison of bitterness. The elders I know who radiate peace are those who have made a practice of forgiveness, releasing old wounds like autumn leaves drifting downstream. Another theme that surfaces again and again is simplicity. We live in a world that equates more with better. More possessions, more achievements, more noise. Yet those who have lived the longest often speak of the joy of less. They downsize their homes and feel freer. They trade hectic social calendars for a handful of cherished relationships. They discover that happiness is not hidden in abundance but in clarity, knowing what truly matters and letting go of what does not. If I could whisper to my younger self, I would say, declutter sooner, both your rooms and your heart. Travel, too, carries lessons beyond postcards and photographs. Those who have roamed far and wide often say that the greatest journeys are not about miles but about perspective. One 85-year-old friend told me that visiting new cultures humbled him, teaching that his own way of living was only one of countless possibilities. He learned patience when flights were delayed, resilience when plans unraveled, and delight in the simple kindness of strangers. Whether you travel across oceans or simply explore a neighboring town, let the experience enlarge your empathy. Money deserves a careful word. We spend our early decades chasing it, believing it will buy freedom or security. But ask the elderly what truly brings peace, and few will mention bank balances. Yes, financial stability matters. It keeps a roof overhead and medicine within reach. But beyond the basics, wealth contributes surprisingly little to happiness. Far more important is how you use what you have, to create experiences, to help others, to nurture what you love. Many elders say they wish they had spent more on memories and less on things. I have also learned to respect the quiet strength of community. In our modern age of independence, we often undervalue the village around us. Yet as people grow older, it is the web of neighbors, friends, and local connections that sustains them. One man, now 88, told me that the informal network of friends who check in daily means more than any formal system of care. Build your community long before you think you need it. Offer help freely, accept it graciously, and weave bonds of trust that time cannot easily break. Art and creativity offer another pathway to wisdom. Many seniors take up painting, music, writing, or crafting later in life and wonder why they waited so long. Creativity is not about producing masterpieces. It is about keeping the soul awake. Whether you play an instrument, plant a garden, or simply doodle in a notebook, give yourself permission to create. These acts nourish a part of you that logic and routine cannot reach. Perhaps one of the most profound insights is that love, romantic, familial, platonic, changes shape but never loses power. Passionate love may soften into companionship. Friendships may stretch across continents. What matters is not the form but the presence of love itself. The elders I know treasure not only the great romances of their youth, but the steadfast bonds of friendship, the late-night phone calls, the shared cups of tea. They remind me that love, expressed in countless small ways, is the real measure of a life. As I look back, I see that even hardships carry hidden gifts. Loss taught me compassion. Illness taught me patience. Failure taught me humility. None of these lessons arrived wrapped in pretty paper. They came through tears and sleepless nights. Yet without them, I would be less whole. The seniors who inspire me most are not those who avoided pain, but those who allowed pain to carve them into deeper vessels for joy. And finally, for this segment, let me speak of wonder. Children are naturally full of wonder, but adults often lose it in the rush of responsibility. Yet every elder who keeps a light in their eyes has preserved a sense of awe. The ability to marvel at a sunrise, to be delighted by a bird's song, to be curious about a stranger's story. Wonder keeps the spirit young, no matter the age of the body. There is a certain clarity that comes with watching the seasons of life turn over and over again. One lesson that emerges from this long view is the value of patience. In youth, we are often in a hurry, for promotions, for love, for recognition, for results. But the elders I admire most speak of patience as a quiet superpower. Patience is not passive. It is a steady faith that the right things ripen in their own time. A farmer does not tug on seedlings to make them grow faster. A wise person plants, waters, and waits, trusting the process. I wish I had cultivated that kind of patience earlier, allowing relationships to deepen naturally and letting plans unfold without constant pushing. Closely tied to patience is the lesson of listening. Many of us spend years perfecting how to speak, how to argue, how to impress. But few learn the art of true listening. Listening without planning your reply, without judgment, with genuine curiosity. Elders often say that the moments when they listened deeply, when they gave someone the gift of full attention, became turning points in relationships. Listening builds bridges across generations, cultures, and even conflicts. It is one of the most underrated forms of love. Gratitude, too, expands as the decades pass. In my 20s, gratitude felt like something reserved for special occasions, a holiday toast, a thank you card. Now I see it as daily medicine. The older friends who radiate peace often begin and end their days with small rituals of thanks. For a morning breeze, for a body that still carries them, for the laughter of grandchildren, for a simple meal shared. Gratitude does not erase life's difficulties, but it illuminates the good that persists even in hardship. I wish I had practiced it sooner. It is a discipline that transforms how you see the world. Another perspective that ripens with age is the understanding that endings are not failures. Jobs conclude, friendships fade, chapters close. In youth we cling tightly, fearing that an ending diminishes us. Elders know that endings make space for beginnings. One 90-year-old neighbor described her life as a series of graceful goodbyes that allowed unexpected hellos, leaving a long-held career to discover painting, releasing a house full of memories to travel freely, saying farewell to old routines to welcome new joys. Learn to honor endings without resentment, and you will carry less fear into every new venture. Spirituality often deepens with years, even for those who never set foot in a formal house of worship. Many elders describe a growing sense of connection to something larger, a mystery they may call God, the universe, or simply the great unfolding. This isn't about doctrine but about wonder and humility. Time softens the ego and sharpens the awareness that life is both fragile and magnificent. Whether you find that connection in prayer, in nature, or in art, tend it. It becomes an anchor when the external world is unsteady. I also hear again and again about the importance of self-compassion. We speak kindly to friends but harshly to ourselves. As bodies age and ambitions shift, the elders who remain joyful are those who learn to treat themselves with the same gentleness they offer others. Self-compassion is not indulgence. It is the recognition that you too are human, worthy of forgiveness, rest, and care. Let's talk about laughter. If you spend time with a lively group of people in their 70s, 80s, or 90s, you'll notice how much they laugh. At themselves, at old stories, at the absurdities of life. Laughter is not merely entertainment. It is resilience in action. It lightens heavy moments and bonds people together. I wish I had learned earlier not to take myself so seriously, to find humor even when plans fell apart. A shared laugh can heal a wound faster than any lecture. Technology is another subject where elders offer balanced wisdom. Many have embraced it to stay connected with distant family or to learn new skills, yet they caution against letting screens replace face-to-face contact. One 82-year-old friend said, "Use technology as a bridge, not a wall." That simple phrase holds a lifetime of insight. Let tools serve your relationships, not replace them. Purpose is a recurring theme in conversations with those who have lived long. Careers may end, children may grow independent, but purpose must remain. It does not need to be grand. It may be as simple as tending a garden, mentoring a younger neighbor, or volunteering once a week. Purpose keeps the spirit vibrant. The happiest elders are those who continue to contribute, to feel needed, to wake each morning with something meaningful to do. Finally, for this section, I want to speak of legacy. We often think of legacy as wealth or monuments, but elders know it is something subtler and more enduring, the way your presence lingers in the lives of others. It is the kindness you showed when no one was watching, the stories you passed down, the example you set when faced with hardship. You do not have to be famous to leave a profound mark. Your legacy is written in every small choice: how you speak, how you forgive, how you love. As the years stack like quiet layers of sediment, another realization comes to light: the profound difference between solitude and loneliness. Loneliness is an ache, a feeling of being cut off. Solitude, when embraced, is a sanctuary. Many elders I've met have discovered that solitude is where their clearest thoughts emerge, where creativity stirs and spiritual insight deepens. They walk alone not to escape others, but to encounter themselves. If I could speak to my younger self, I would say, learn to befriend your own company early. It will serve you when life's noise recedes. Memory, too, becomes a curious teacher. We assume our memories will remain perfectly intact, but the truth is more complex. Over time, details blur, and specific dates slip away. Yet what remains is often the emotional essence: how we felt in a certain season, the warmth of someone's presence, the laughter around a dinner table. Elders often advise capturing moments not just with cameras, but with consciousness. Savor them fully as they happen. That is how they stay alive in the heart long after photographs fade. Resilience emerges as another quiet pillar of a long life. To live 8 or 9 decades is to witness change on a scale unimaginable to youth. Wars, revolutions, shifting economies, evolving technology. The elders who stay vibrant are those who adapt. They bend without breaking, adjusting to new realities while holding firm to their core values. Resilience is not about never falling. It is about finding the strength or the help to rise again. If you cultivate flexibility now, mentally, emotionally, practically, you will meet the future with steadier feet. Intergenerational friendships deserve special mention. Many older adults speak of the joy and stimulation they gain from relationships with younger people. These bonds exchange wisdom for fresh perspective. A 90-year-old artist once told me her closest friend is 35. She teaches me the latest music. I teach her patience. Seek friendships outside your age group. They stretch the mind and heart in ways peers alone cannot. I also hear frequently about the liberation that comes from letting go of perfection. Early in life, we are driven to get things exactly right: the flawless career, the immaculate home, the perfect body. Yet perfection is a mirage. Those who release it discover freedom and deeper satisfaction. They cook meals that occasionally burn, send letters with misspelled words, share ideas still in progress, and they live more joyfully for it. Perfection is brittle, authenticity is durable. Then there is the lesson of service. Serving others, whether through volunteer work, caregiving, or simple neighborly acts, gives life a richness that personal achievement cannot match. Elders often say their most meaningful memories come not from what they gained, but from what they gave. Mentoring a struggling teenager, comforting a grieving friend, building something that outlasted them. Service shifts the focus from self to community, and in doing so, paradoxically enlarges the self. Nature provides another wellspring of wisdom. Those who spend time outdoors speak of how seasons mirror our own lives. Spring's optimism, summer's vigor, autumn's reflection, winter's quiet rest. Observing these rhythms fosters acceptance of our own cycles of growth, productivity, and rest. A simple walk beneath trees can steady a restless heart, reminding us that we too are part of something vast and enduring. Let us also talk about courage in small daily forms. Grand heroics are rare. Everyday courage is abundant. It is found in the phone call to reconcile after years of silence, in the decision to pursue a dream despite fear, in the act of showing vulnerability. Elders recall these small braveries with pride. They prove that a meaningful life is built not on single bold leaps, but on countless quiet choices to step forward, despite uncertainty. Many seniors speak of the value of storytelling, sharing family histories, personal adventures, and even regrets. Stories connect generations and preserve identity. They give context to the struggles and triumphs that shaped a family or a community. I wish I had recorded more conversations with grandparents and great-aunts when they were alive. Their voices, their phrases, their laughter, those are treasures worth capturing and passing on. Another insight is the importance of continuous learning. Intellectual curiosity need not wane with age. I know elders who learn new languages, study astronomy, or experiment with digital art well into their 90s. Their minds stay supple because they keep feeding them. Lifelong learning is not only a mental exercise, it is a declaration that growth has no expiration date. And perhaps one of the gentlest lessons is the acceptance of mystery. Youth often seeks certainty, clear answers, firm convictions. Age reveals how much remains unknowable, and with that realization comes a surprising peace. You do not need every riddle solved to live fully. There is beauty and wonder in acknowledging the vastness of what we cannot grasp. The elders who carry this humility seem the most serene, as if they have made friends with the unknown. As the evening of life lengthens, one of the deepest truths that surfaces is the power of simple gratitude. Not the kind you jot down quickly in a journal because someone recommended it, but the slow, soul-deep recognition of life's ordinary miracles, the way sunlight warms the kitchen table, the familiar creak of a floorboard, the smell of rain arriving on dry earth. Many elders confide that it is this quiet gratitude, not grand accomplishments, that fills their days with light. They wake, stretch, and whisper thanks, and in that moment they are wealthy beyond measure. If you can practice such gratitude now, your 40s will already be rich. Another lesson, often learned late, is that forgiveness frees the forgiver more than the forgiven. We carry old wounds like heavy stones in a backpack, sometimes for decades. I have heard countless stories of people who finally set those stones down, who wrote a letter they never mailed, or simply chose to release a long-held resentment, and felt a weight lift they didn't realize they were still bearing. You cannot change the past, but you can decide how tightly you grip it. Loosen your hold. Life is too short to clutch grievances like trophies. The importance of play might surprise you. We associate play with childhood, yet elders who thrive often describe a lifelong spirit of playfulness. Dancing in the kitchen, making up silly songs with grandchildren, trying a new hobby with no concern for skill. Play is not a luxury. It is nourishment for the heart. When you are 40, the world urges seriousness, but do not let that harden you. Stay curious, stay playful, and joy will find you. Health inevitably becomes a central theme. Those who maintained modest but steady habits, regular walks, balanced meals, enough sleep, arrive in old age with energy to spare. It is rarely the extreme fitness routines or rigid diets that matter most, but the daily, gentle consistency. Elders often say, "Take care of your body so it can carry you through the decades." But they also stress that health is more than physical. Mental and emotional well-being, managing stress, nurturing friendships, cultivating purpose, proves equally vital. Time itself is a teacher unlike any other. In youth, we treat time as infinite currency, but at 80 or 90, its finitude sharpens every moment. Oddly, this awareness does not breed despair. It fosters presence. When you know that each ordinary day is irreplaceable, you pay attention. You linger in conversation, taste your food more fully, watch a sunset without checking your phone. You realize that presence is the real wealth, and you wish you had learned it sooner. Legacy is another recurring theme. Some imagine legacy as monuments or large fortunes, but most elders speak of something quieter: the values they impart, the kindness they've shown, the ways they've shaped the character of those who remain. A teacher remembers former students writing decades later to say how a single encouraging word changed their life. A parent reflects on the compassion their children now show to others. Legacy lives in these subtle ripples. If you focus on living your values each day, your legacy will take care of itself. There is also the lesson of accepting help. Many of us prize independence, but age teaches that allowing others to care for you is not weakness. It is an act of trust and love. Elders describe moments when neighbors brought soup, when adult children offered a steadying arm, when friends simply listened. These gestures do more than meet practical needs. They weave the fabric of community. Learn to accept help graciously now, and you will never face life's later chapters alone. Perhaps the most profound realization is that love, whether romantic, familial, platonic, or spiritual, is the true measure of a life. Careers end, possessions fade, even memories blur, but the love we give and receive remains vibrant. It is love that draws people to hospital beds, that fills memorial services with stories and laughter through tears. Ask any elder what they cherish most, and they will rarely name achievements. They will speak of people, the spouse who stood by them, the friend who never judged, the child whose hug carried them through a hard day. Invest in love, and you invest in eternity. Finally, there is peace with the cycle itself. To live long is to witness endings of eras, of relationships, of one's own youthful capacities. Yet those who have made peace with impermanence often radiate a calm that feels almost luminous. They see that beginnings and endings are partners, that every farewell is also a threshold. They understand, as the poet said, that to everything there is a season. When you grasp this truth, not just intellectually, but in your bones, you stop clinging so tightly. You begin to savor the present not because it will last, but because it won't. And so, if I could gather all these decades of listening, observing, stumbling, and rising again into a single message for someone in their 40s, it would be this: live widely and love deeply. Protect your health gently but persistently. Forgive quickly, laugh often, and never stop learning. Make friends across generations. Play like a child and think like a sage. Notice the ordinary miracles that unfold every day. Hold your loved ones close, yet give them the freedom to grow. And when the time comes to let go, of plans, of possessions, even of life itself, do so with an open heart, confident that you have truly lived. Because in the end, wisdom is not a destination reached at 80. It is a path you walk every day, beginning right now in this very moment.